Hello, welcome. Good afternoon. I'm Jack from KERB. It's Tuesday. I hope you had a nice Easter holiday weekend. Um, Obviously, we're all still inside, but that's okay. I spent the weekend relaxing. I started watching Ozark, which feels only kind of marginally less apocalyptic than our current situation. Did a lot of baking, made a lot of chili sauce, and that's definitely got me in the mood for spicy food. So, like today, my street food craving is definitely a Cali Munchie bowl with some suya steak and Sichuan sauce. If you, like me, are missing that, you can. I think they're doing some deliveries on Fridays, but you can also support them on our Keep the Wheels Turning campaign, which is on kerbfood.com, kerbfood.store, which I think the link will be here somewhere at some point throughout the show today, as part of our Keep the Wheels Turning campaign. So today we're starting KERB Bootcamp. So if you were watching How to Run a Street Food Business last week, you'll have seen that we talked about all the different aspects of running a street food business, and we invited lots of viewers to apply with their street food idea. But before we go to that, I'm going to just introduce my co-host for today, Ollie. If you'd like to come onto the screen. Hello.
I'm back.
How are you?
Back from the gulag of just being a producer for the week.
Yeah,
back
on the screen.
I'm really good. Had a lovely weekend. Went for a long walk.
Got a bit sunburned.
Yeah, got a bit sunburned. We went 10 kilometers.
Oof. That's a good old walk.
I've decided to just have a moustache for a
yeah.
bit.
I was kind of looking at I did trim my moustache a little bit because it was going over, but I can't bear to lose this yet. So we'll see. Maybe a post-isolation present will be to shave it off. But okay, so obviously last week we did the How to Run a Street Food Business. So we talked with loads and loads of different people, and we're trying something new this week where we kind of have reality TV / the incubator. So me and Ollie today are going to speak with the first person who we chose from the consultation challenge. Let's say our first winner, because there could be more, and we'll introduce Carly. So hi, Carly.
Hey guys.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Really happy to be here.
Congratulations on winning.
Thank you.
You definitely. We had about I think between 10 and 20 people apply so far. And your application was one of the ones that kind of stood out, and I guess we'll go through some of the reasons why that was. But just wanted to first ask, like, how are you? How are things at the moment? How are you finding being inside?
I'm good, actually. It's really nice to actually be at home and spend time with my parents and being able to cook with my mum. I'm learning to make baos, dumplings. So I'm trying to just like use this time to kind of learn as much as I can from her. But previous to this lockdown, I'd kind of went to the KERB workshop back in January, and I was really kind of just like raring to go. I bought my gazebo, kind of looked at some kitchen spaces, and I was kind of pretty much ready to go. And I think my gazebo arrived actually like a week before lockdown, and like all my family were like, probably not a good idea to go any further with this, which was probably like a good advice, and I hadn't spent any more money on it. So it's good.
Yeah. So the universe is basically telling us all to slow down, and maybe like for you, that's like, oh, I can focus on menu development and other things that you kind of haven't put into place yet, but before you actually hit the curb, you can get as much ready as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you came to a workshop in January, and kind of what inspired you to kind of come to that workshop and start thinking about starting a street food business in the first place?
Okay, so basically I worked in set construction, kind of painting sets for the West End for 3 years. Got to work on some incredible projects, but I think I just knew deep down it wasn't kind of the right path I wanted to pursue for the rest of my life. And And basically, food is something I've always been really passionate about, especially cooking for other people. Also, my family has had a really big influence on me because my parents own a Chinese takeaway.
Okay.
My dad is like just constantly asking me to take over the business so he can retire. But I've just always said no because Chinese takeaway food is just not Chinese food. Therefore, I don't have any attachment to it.
Yeah.
But I think subconsciously it's kind of like lured me into starting a food business.
Yeah. It's given you that love for like food and hospitality and like certain aspects of that. And I guess like the food of like Chinese restaurants is very much like reflected of what people needed to do when they came here, right? And to appeal to certain types of people. And and now we're getting to the stage where people have visited China and they even know that there are like different regional foods and separate them. And is that the kind of thing that you want to like explore more in your own concept?
Definitely. So my idea is to kind of really focus on regional Chinese cuisine. Like I was born in a place called Hunan, which is located like central south of China. It's a region really famous for just using just copious amounts of chili, ingredients such as like just pickles, preserved dried veg. So like lots of like really bold flavors.
Yeah.
And I think we're the most famous for eating like the amount of spice that we do in China.
Okay.
So yeah, I kind of just really want to focus on that and kind of bring it to a wider audience.
Cool.
Yeah, because Hunan restaurants exist in London, but not many people know about them. And the ones that I have recommended to my friends, I find that they go there but still have no idea what to order. So they'll still order the classic like chow mein or like spring rolls. I'm just like, there's so much more.
Yeah, we've definitely seen an explosion in like the breadth of Chinese food that's been served in London.
Yeah.
Whether it's street food traders or restaurants as well.
Yeah.
Like I live very close to Shan Impression.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, and I don't think it's probably been there for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think 10 years ago it would have been as popular as it is now.
Yeah.
Now it's like constantly busy, hard to get.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what I love about the London food scene. Like people are just a lot more open to trying new things and they're not so put off by things that like they don't know about, which is great opportunity to kind of like introduce a new cuisine to like a wider public.
Yeah, for sure. So after going to the workshop, did you you mentioned to us in the application that you kind of started working for a trader? So what's that experience been like? Had you had any street food experience before?
No, so I worked in the arts for 3 years, but before when I was at uni, I worked at Gourmet Burger Kitchen, just kind of waitressing, like on and off. So I thought it was really necessary to get some actual experience working for a street food trader. I applied through the form on KERB's website, and Club Mexicana got back to me, which has been an amazing opportunity because they're such like an established company, and it's amazing to see what like a small street food business can develop into.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously like their standards are so high, and it's just like great to be in that busy environment and see how like crazy a busy service can be. But yeah, I think I really need also some experience kind of just like doing markets, kind of setting up gazebos and kind of do all the heavy lifting so I know like what it's actually going to be like.
Yeah.
You sort of had the legitimate experience of working for Club Mex, and now you want the sort of like ramshackle, just starting experience to work out what probably your business will be like for the first year.
Exactly. I just need to build some muscles because like trying to set up my gazebo in my garden, like it was just impossible. So actually quite shocked how heavy it was. So yeah, I need some exercise.
It's definitely like a 2-person job. Like you get, you know, but it's good because you know that it's about without doing it, you don't know what some of the challenges are, what some of the difficulties are, and but then at the same time, right now, the only place that you could set up a gazebo is in your back garden, right?
Yeah.
And even like hopefully by the end of the week, what we'll do is we'll go through all the other aspects of your business so that you can look at the end of the week and go, actually, okay, these are the things I need, so that when we come back to like a new normal, you'll be able to go on the street and have thought about your menu and about flooring and about the kind of equipment you would need to cook on the street. So coming to that, what's the kind of food that can you talk to us a bit more about, like Hunan kind of food and the kind of street foods that you're thinking of doing on the street?
Yeah, so basically when I kind of first started the idea of doing my own street food business, I kind of tried to really think about ways of like developing quirky concepts. So one of my ideas was just doing like all steamed foods. So in Hunan, there's this type of cooking where like almost like tapas dishes are steamed in big steamer, and it can be served really quickly, cooked in one big load. But then like after like talking with my dad and actually doing a bit of market research, I just kind of realized those things aren't really feasible, and it just didn't really work in like a street food form. So kind of like a step back, and I just realized what I needed to do was really just convey the like good flavors and just like classic dishes of Hunan cuisine. I kind of almost like present it in like a rice box form, where it's almost like doing a proper Chinese meal, but confining it into like a tiny little box people can just take away.
Yeah.
So my menu consists of 3 different dishes. One is red braised pork belly, which you guys might have had. It's just like a really rich and hearty stew almost. That's cooked in like a broth made from pork bones, soy sauce, sugar, Chinese spices, and it's like really tender, really rich, strong soy flavor.
Yeah.
The next one is a beer braised chicken.
Cool.
So a classic Hunan dish is using beer to braise duck.
Okay.
Because it kind of takes away like the poultry flavors that you don't want, and it gives like a really rich depth to like a dish using beer to cook it.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd substitute duck for chicken because more people like chicken than duck.
Yeah.
So that's my second dish, and also the chicken is stir fried in douban chili sauce. It's like do you guys know it? It's like a
tell me.
chili paste, which is also like another classic Hunan ingredient.
Okay, cool.
Before braising in beer, which makes the dish like quite salty and slightly sweet. The last one is a steamed aubergine with pickled chili and black bean.
Okay.
So another classic dish in Hunan is steamed fish head, just with like loads of pickled chili on top.
Okay.
I thought I'd substitute the aubergine substitute the fish head for the aubergine.
Okay.
Because makes it vegan, and I think people will still love it for the flavors.
Yeah.
All the dishes are going to be served with like a shredded potato salad, which is in vinegar and soy sauce, which is, I think it's going to be quite like a new thing to many people, because I got my friend to try it and she was like, what's that white vegetable you've used in that dish that tastes really light and fresh? And I was like, it's just potato.
Yeah, I think when me and Ollie and the KERB markets team, we might have gone to Xi'an Impression, and we might have had a similar dish there. I think. Yeah. And yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, I think Silk Road might do a version of it as well.
We've had a comment in from one of our traders, and I agree with him as well. He said, "Give me the fish head."
I'll serve you the fish head if you want to. I'll add that onto the menu for special requests.
I kind of feel that's a really interesting bit of it. We'll come to this later in the chat, but
okay,
fish head's interesting.
Yeah. Not sure how interesting you'll find when you get to the eye bit. Anyway, last bit of the rice box is a smacked cucumber. which is all just kind of like another really light and fresh element to like the rich meat. I just thought it needed to be in there to kind of like counterbalance all the flavors and textures. But that's for the meat option. I'm also going to do like a marinated tofu noodles for the vegan option.
Okay.
Because that's going to be like the protein part of the dish. And also I think that's also going to be something that people haven't tried before. It's basically like really compressed tofu skin, kind of like thinly shred it and make it into like a light salad as well.
Cool. Yeah, so there's like lots of like big bold flavors like in those dishes, but then also kind of some healthier kind of lighter elements like to contrast against that.
I think that's also, I want to just change people's conception about like Chinese food, because all the food we eat in China, it's all so like healthy, light and fresh, and it's just, I want to like just stay away from all the like kind of grease and like oily things that probably people think of when they think about Chinese food.
Yeah, and that's definitely like a lot of people when they're setting up like street food businesses or trying to show like different cuisines, it's definitely about, like there's that challenge of breaking a conception about a certain cuisine or presenting a cuisine that no one's ever heard of and that people will associate certain things with. So it's really good to think about like what it is you want to veer away from, but and also like what it is that you want people to remember you for.
Definitely.
And yeah, is there something that you like kind of want is there one thing that you want people to remember your food for?
Probably the authenticity, but although like I don't come from a food background, or like I'm not a trained chef, so I can't guarantee the food is going to be like 100%. If like a Chinese chef tried it, they're going to be like, what is this? This is not Hunan cuisine. But I'm going to try my best to replicate things that my mum cooked, or like recipes that's been passed down through family generations, and kind of make it as much of a true representation of what like real Hunan food.
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting thing to bring up as well, like idea of authenticity, because a lot of people, especially if they're presenting like foods of their heritage or their background, feel like a pressure to do things the way they've always been done, or like to not do something slightly different. But the reality is that if you're doing something, it's authentic because you're from that place and you're cooking those things. If you adapt it, if you change it to the market that's there, or to the people that's around you, or the ingredients that you have, that's okay. And so that's one thing I always like talk to people about. It's about like what's authentic to you. What do you think about that, Ollie?
Yeah, I mean, if I was to cook from me growing up or something from my childhood and to make it authentic, it would have to be like very traditional English food, which doesn't even really define, does it? So, like there isn't, especially for me, I don't think there's really something that I could lean on for it. But I definitely ate stuff when I was growing up. Like I had curries, I had pizza, I had Finder's crispy pancakes. Maybe I could start a business on Finder's crispy pancakes. That'd be authentic for me. I think it's a confusing word, to be honest, and I think people want to use it to sort of imply that there's a depth of knowledge there, and that there's like history behind the decisions you've made about your business. But I think that you can do that in other ways that make it still interesting. You don't have to be like, this is a recipe that has been made for thousands of years in Leatherhead or Surrey or anything like that.
Exactly.
It's crispy pancake.
And that's the thing as well, like the idea of like authenticity or traditional. If you really break it down, you were talking about Hunan food and like a reputation for loving chili, right? Like maybe in all of China, it's the spiciest food. But 500 years ago, there were no chilies in China. But all those dishes were probably still made in some way, You know,
Yeah.
boom. Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I did a history degree, so I like to like nerd out on this stuff. And I once saw Fuchsia Dunlop do a talk on like 13th century Chinese Qing
Wow.
dynasty. Like it was good. It was really interesting. Anyway, that's an aside. So yeah, I think it's always good to think about like all those component parts of your dishes and like what feels authentic to you. So in terms of the dishes that you've been playing around with, like who have you cooked them for? Who have you shared them with?
So I've cooked it for all my friends, all my close friends, who have been very nice and very complimenting of my dishes, which I think is great to have their feedback, but I still didn't see it as like a real representation of like people's like view and opinions. And also it's been really good working at Club Mex because they've kind of been my target audience for my vegan recipes.
Okay, that's cool. That's definitely a good idea to use that market.
Definitely. And so I've got approval from them. And also I got in touch with KERB, one of the KERB market managers, Rupert, who have tried my red braised pork belly rice box.
Yeah.
Which really gave me the confidence in believing my idea that actually, okay, maybe people will like this and it will work.
Yeah. So you basically took some food to a market and gave it to him.
Yeah, because basically, funny enough, because when I applied for a job through like the KERB website, Rupert actually needed a help with one of their like shifts, but it kind of fell through. So I kind of knew him through that, which was quite helpful in me contacting him again, like just making my food like known to him.
Yeah. And that kind of hustle is the kind of things that people need to do to like to get known, to find opportunities, to stick in someone's head.
Yeah.
So yeah, nice one. I'm doing that.
Trying my best.
Yeah. So
but I would be happy to bring you guys my food to try when we get out of this lockdown.
Yeah, definitely. But hopefully by the end of this week, you'll have like all the other kind of stuff ready to kind of make that debut on the street, like wherever that is. So I guess, so in terms of like the rest of this week, what are the kind of things that you are kind of looking for kind of support, or that you're struggling with on your own, or like you need some kind of support to develop?
I think tomorrow's workshop with Chubby Dumplings will be amazing to get help with the branding.
Yeah.
That's like my friend is helping me design my logo at the moment, but it's still kind of like all up in the air.
Yeah.
And just some like feedback and advice to kind of make it more like complete. Other things, I think it's just like finding out little bits about market life and what it's actually like. I don't know, just little things like how do you transport everything to the market? Like, do you have to lug everything from your van for like miles, or can you like, I don't know, just little things.
Yeah.
It would be really great to get advice on.
Can you drive? Can you drive?
Yes.
Okay, that is a good start.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Where have you got an idea of like what success would look like for this business?
So I want a restaurant as soon as possible, because basically when I started this whole like food business idea, like the end goal was always going to be a restaurant, and I want it to be like a fine dining restaurant. That's the very end goal. But obviously not having any experience in hospitality, I think street food is a really good way to start it because it's quite low investment, and it kind of gives me the confidence to do it without all that background knowledge, and it's okay to kind of like do it as you go and kind of learn things as you develop.
So would you do the business that you want to do on the street, would you convert that to fine dining, or would that be a totally new business?
It would I think it would develop, it would be the same business that develop into a fine dining, because the menu will kind of just be an extension of what I create on the streets.
Okay.
That's quite interesting, because when you go back to what the dishes you were talking about, like the fish head, now like in a fine dining setting, most people would probably be more open to eating something like that. But if that's your end goal, if that's the kind of thing that you want to do at the end, then doing that on the street could be a great way to get to that point. Like that's a very brave thing to do.
Yeah.
Have you got if we're talking about like levels of restaurants, have you got like a similar restaurant that you would like aspire to be like? Are we talking like Clove Club, 2 Michelin star range, or are we talking like what was another good example? Leaner stores, like quite reasonably casual but good food in a smart place.
I think what I really want is like the quality of probably like a Michelin star. I know that's like really ambitious, but the quality of that at like a really affordable price, kind of like available to everyone, you know? So like what go on.
Almost like a bib gourmand, where maybe it's not that Michelin star level in terms of like you don't have like tons of waiters per table, but the food's just really good quality and it's in a nice place.
Yeah, basically that's pretty much what I want. Because I feel like in London there's like a real missing market for that. Like all the Chinese restaurants, you get all the really high end like hutong. That's like amazing. It's like a really nice environment, but it's not accessible to all. And the Chinese restaurants that are available probably to the wider public, like I just feel like, I don't know, like the authenticity is there, but the like quality almost is kind of slightly lacking.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because we always kind of talk about wanting to know what a business's future goal is. Because any decisions that you're making now can inform like how that impacts what's happening in the future.
Yeah.
If you were to be like, right, I want a restaurant within 2 years, and instead of like going down a sort of quite a functional lunch market business, you decided to just make it clear that you wanted a restaurant, you wanted investment, you wanted people to get on board with this amazing dish that you had. And it wasn't like the most biggest selling thing, but it had that clear vision of you getting a restaurant. That would be a lot stronger to start as that rather than do like a lunch dish. Basically.
Yeah. Because
so
it might be.
It'd be very interesting.
Yeah.
It's hard to balance those, like the idea of like doing something very specific towards a lunch market against something that's more unusual or more specialist or kind of something that no one else is doing. And either of them are a risk, but if your goal is to do something that's like not really being done, then doing something more brave and more unusual might get you to that place where that you want to be. Like I'm thinking of what's they called? Ollie, you know Le Gomme, who did they do Incubator?
They did briefly, yeah.
Yeah. So Elliot runs Le Gomme at Hackney Church Brewhouse, I think.
Yeah.
And that's like incredibly high quality smoked meats and things like that. I don't know how well that did on lunchtime markets or not, or maybe it wasn't suited like towards his cuisine. But even like Rupert with Dosmas and their tacos, like their tacos have not done well like on lunch markets as well as they wanted it to be. But by doing the lunchtime markets and staying true to the dishes that they wanted to do, it forced them to go, right, we need to find late night opportunities where people will have beer with our food and so on, So what they could have done is they could have gone, we'll do Mexican rice bowls and burritos, which would be absolutely fine, but they didn't want to do that. They wanted to do tacos. And so it's that balancing act between making something which you think will work in a specific market against the love for a certain type of dish. And maybe there's one or two dishes for you that are like, these are my hero dishes. These are why I want to share it with the world at this end point, my goal. And doing them on the market or doing them in a certain way on the market might be the best way to get to there.
Yeah.
essentially you want to get to a point where if you open a fine dining restaurant, one of the dishes that you had on the street would immediately be on that menu. You don't want to be almost like embarrassed about your past of doing like a lunchbox or something like that. You want to be doing something there that you can easily translate to a sit-down restaurant.
Yeah.
I
think actually, like, because Hunan food, like, without sounding biased, like all of it tastes amazing. So I've not really had that struggle of like having to decide one thing that would work for the markets that might not work for like a fine dining restaurant. The only thing I've found is kind of like the way to cook it, because like quick stir fries wouldn't really work on a street food market because I'll need like ridiculous amounts of people. So yeah, it's kind of just finding recipes that like could benefit from like preparing beforehand and then kind of just like serving it straight away on the day of the market.
Yeah. Okay. That's that. I think so. We've done about half an hour today, so I think we're going to leave that there for today. But I think what we've seen is that like you have an end goal, and you want to do a very specific type of cuisine, and you have ideas of dishes, and translating them to the street as part of the journey to a further destination is really important. Like how you decide to approach to do things now is just as important as where you want to be in the end. It will help you get to that place. So in terms of tomorrow, we're going to talk about branding, and we're going to talk about things to focus on from that perspective, including a name as well. I don't know if okay.
It's Soy Yum.
Soy Yum.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the inspiration for that name?
I was just kind of thinking, I don't know, I went through loads of different ones, and there was one moment where I was lying in bed and I was like soy sauce, and then kind of just like played on that, and then Soy Yum, like so yum.
Okay. So if we take that as a name that you want to kind of start working with, and lots of people change their names. So I'm not saying that to do that, but for homework for tonight, I'd like you to kind of describe the brand personality associated with that name, and kind of what's special about the brand, and kind of who are your perfect customers for that kind of brand, and how does how would you, with that name, how would you talk about Hunan food? Because I feel that if the thing that you want to separate from other people is that it's about the specialities of Hunan, how the name is a hugely important part of that, and it doesn't have to be in the name. It doesn't have to be like Hunan specialty foods, but it's something you need to think about how that communicates with people, and how people can understand your food straight away.
Okay. Yeah, those are good points to think about.
Cool. Okay. And that's for anyone at home. If you're working on your own street food business idea, really ask yourself like what words you kind of associate with a name that you've kind of come up with, and who your customers might be, and what's special about your brand, and how does it stand out from other competitors or other people who are doing your foods. So okay, great.
Cool.
So that, how did you find that?
Really good. It's just nice to be able to like talk my idea through, and it kind of gives me a bit of clarity as well, because sometimes, you know, when you think about things a bit too much, it can get a bit muddled.
Yeah. And you sort of, it's hard to see what is like maybe the original idea you had and the thing that's really driving you when you add loads of different stuff on the start.
Yeah, definitely.
I really like the thing you said about essentially it's the stuff you had growing up, and it's the stuff that your family cooks. I think that to me seems like a clear sort of starting point.
Yeah.
The idea that Chinese takeaway doesn't mean Chinese food is kind of a good thing as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So so I'll leave that homework for you to do, Carly.
Right.
And at tomorrow, we're going to focus on branding and we're going to go through some of the homework. We'll also have a chat with Chantel from Chubby Dumpling, who did all her own branding for design, so to give some pointers and some ideas about how you can approach that, and like what you've done so far and where you can take that next.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, guys.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Okay, so that was fun. I've never done one of those live before. It's really cool.
I really enjoyed it. There's some really interesting stuff there.
Yeah, I think, and it's a lot. You see, like it's a lot of questions that lots of people ask about the idea of their food, of it being authentic, about it trying to break down a perception or a barrier, and street food is as good as any avenue to do that. And so anyone else who's watching who sent in an application, all the things that we were talking about today with Carly, you can ask yourself those questions, or have a conversation with a friend or someone else in the industry to talk about to really knuckle down and think all of those things through, because your brand is not just a logo, it's everything else that you present to a customer and approach to serving food to someone.
It's like street food's an amazing opportunity to bring stuff that you wouldn't traditionally think would sell massively as well.
Yeah.
Opening a restaurant solely based on fish heads might be quite tough. But doing a street food business where you can have that as one of the options, and if people are into it, they might literally drive across London just to eat that because they can't get it anywhere else.
Yeah. It you know, sometimes it just hits the zeitgeist, you know, it just hits what people are into and up for and trying, and you know, who knows, it could be like the dish of the summer. Could be
2020's katsu sando, eh?
Yeah, it could be. No, I can't wait. Okay, so thanks very much for everyone for staying with us today. As we said, we're gonna be doing branding tomorrow with Chantel from Chubby Dumpling, and obviously with Carly as well. If you'd like to have the chance to have a consultation with us, you can apply in the link below. In the meantime, you can also support all our traders for on the Keep the Wheels Turning campaign on kerbfood.store, and which the link will probably be around here somewhere at some point. Ollie will just zoom it in. There it is. Oh, there it is. Yeah, great. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Bye.